prodigy of Mobb Deep. 10 prodigy of Mobb Deep albums. The Hegelian Dialectic. The Book of Revelation.
It's a pleasure, man. That body of work is crazy. I mean,
Joe the engineer. Now we do this shit, nigga.
333. That's a sign from the heavens. Just look up in the heavens.
What up, everybody? It is time for the Dour Hour. I am Joe the engineer. I'm sure the Dour people will be joining us shortly. And you know what that means. It is time to roll the fuck up and talk about it. Now, while I roll this blunt because I'm a little bit behind, time to put on our roll-up theme.
Sign from the heavens, three from the heavens. 33 sign from the heavens, 3 sign from the heavens, 3 from the heavens. Look up. That's a sign from the heavens. Look up. I'm out of space high. 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 Man, I'm going in the motherfucker. That's a sign from the heavens.
Ooh, shout out to my esteemed co-host. Hey, duties. To the wolf. You can barely see him, but I can promise you he is back there. So, what up, everybody? Adam, what up, homie? Andrew, what up, G's? So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, let's talk about what the world seemingly is talking about. And I don't know if anybody was watching Monday Night Football. It happened during Mobb Deep Monday last night. NFL player damn near died on the field. Reyes, what up, G's? So, let's talk about it. Now that we know what happened, or at least we kind of know what happened. Hey, the Dour people are early to the party. Hey, it's the Dour people.
Well,
You'll pop on, give it a second. You're in a little time delay. There he is. Yeah, I was ready for it today.
father.
Ain't shit. Literally just went live and rolling the fuck up. What's up with you, homie?
I'm chilling, man. I'm just handling some things. I had a minute. I realized it was time to get involved with the Dour people.
Yeah, man. You can't miss the Dour Hour because what the fuck else you going to do? It's raining in New York. It's disgusting outside.
Pretty cold.
Ain't shit else going on. So, what the fuck we gonna talk about today? So, last night during Mobb Deep Monday, the return of Mobb Deep Monday, we're back, baby.
What's good with that?
Fuck it. Ain't nobody gonna stop me from holding it down for P. Fuck everybody who's trying to, who says I can't do what the fuck I'm doing, because ain't nobody actually holding it down for P. except me. So fuck them all. Anyway, during the Dour Hour, Monday Night Football, an NFL player damn near died on the field last night.
Oh, I think I heard about that. Somebody had a heart attack.
Yeah. So I thought he died. Actually, I thought he was dead. Like the way it happened, I was like, he's not. He's done. They had to give him chest compressions on the field. That's never happened, ever. During an NFL game, ever. So I was just like, oh shit, he might be dead. Apparently, he's in stable condition. Well, not stable condition, but in critical condition. In an induced coma right now, and intubated with a breathing tube. But he is alive. So there is a positive in that. So since I'm me, and I talk about all the things that people don't like to talk about, let's pontificate about it. Couple of possible causalities. There is a thing that happens in baseball. It's never really happened in football before, but it happens in baseball and hockey. More specifically in baseball, because the ball getting hit right back at the pitcher and them not having enough time to react and getting hit in the chest and dying. So there's a thing that happens if your heart beat is like in between beats at the perfect moment and you get hit in the chest hard enough, your heart will stop. It's just never happened in football before. So that's what everybody's leaning into. Now, me being me and the conspiracy theorist that I am, instantly when I saw him drop like that, said, I wonder if he's vaccinated. Because there are professional athletes in Europe, soccer players, dropping left and right. We're talking 20 to 28-year-old peak physical form athletes, and all of them are dropping because of myocarditis and blood clots. So, just because you are vaccinated does not mean that you are going to get myocarditis and have blood clots and just drop dead. But 100% of the people who have myocarditis and blood clots that are athletes that are dropping dead have all been vaccinated and boosted. So you tell me, does 2 + 2 = 4? So then I find out that the general manager of the Buffalo Bills, the team that the guy played for, made all of his players get vaxxed and boosted. Like, it was a requirement in order to stay on this team, you're going to have to get this shit. So, is that going to have anything to play into it? I'm sure you're going to have to dig in the underground news and back channels to even see or hear anything about that, because they're just going to constantly harp on the fact that it was like an isolated incident. The NFL makes more money than any sports league on the planet. It's not even close. They have multiple billion-dollar deals each season. Amazon just gave them a couple $1 billion for the rights to Thursday Night Football. ESPN gives them a couple $1 billion a year. They just made a deal with YouTube to have games next season on YouTube. Billions of dollars, dude. Nobody makes more money than the NFL.
That shit doesn't make any sense to me, yo. The NFL is trash. They got at least basketball. Like, I don't like any of that shit, but like at least basketball. Like that's the most, for me, that's the most entertaining shit. Like,
so you guys that are watching the Dour Hour right now, you're being privy to something that happens uniquely in New York, in this country. New Yorkers don't care about football, dude. It's weird because it's not like a thing up here. Basketball is. Like, everybody plays basketball. There's courts everywhere. Like, everybody hoops. It's across the board. It's like, this is a new basketball haven. They don't give a fuck about high school football up here at all, man. Like, nobody cares.
I'm not going to say I'm anti-sports completely, because sports is fucking important. Like, just any sort of physical activity is important. It's like what we talking about. Like, if you could say what you want to say, but if you take care of yourself at the end of the day, you shouldn't really have to worry about like a heart issue.
Well, so I always.
That's, so that shit is important, man. Get them beats up.
So I mean, I've always said that I think everybody should play some form of team sports as a child. because it
But
teaches
that's what
you.
I wanted. That's what I wanted to finish. I don't fuck with it at all, but I respect it. You know what
Yeah,
I
and
mean?
it teaches you how teamwork and how to work towards a common goal with people that you don't necessarily get along with, especially in football because it requires so many players in order to operate. You're going to have people from everywhere. So, I thought it was not. It's. I don't want to say funny because the situation is not funny at all. There's a man's life hanging in the balance right now, but the immediate aftermath on Instagram was all these snowflakes and like cotton balls saying that football should be banned. It's so dangerous. Blah 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 blah. I'm just like, first of all, get the fuck over yourselves. That man, every football player on the planet knows what you're getting into. I played football all the way up through college. I will have headaches for the rest of my life. I don't regret any of it. You know what you're getting into when you sign up for it. It's like riding a motorcycle. You know you could die at any moment riding this fucking motorcycle. So my immediate response...
Extreme.
Yeah, but my immediate response was, well, there's one incident of this happening in the history of NFL football. This has never happened before. Over 100 years of football being played. This has happened once. And now people are calling for the ban of football. Somebody just wrecked a motorcycle and died in South Dakota an hour ago. Probably. Who knows? Are you going to get rid of all motorcycles? Well, no, it wasn't in your face. You didn't see it, so you don't fucking care. Football is inherently dangerous. That's why you have that level of padding, because if you didn't, you would die. You know, so banning an entire sport because of one incident. What about the UFC? Those guys are literally beating the shit out of each other.
It's extremism right now. Somebody had the nerve to try to say that shit. A bunch of stupid ass motherfuckers who follow him was probably just like,
Echo chambers, dude. It's echo chambers. You say something, and then all the people who think like you just complete echo that sentiment, and it's just like keeps bouncing back and forth, and you all just feel good about agreeing with each other. Football's dangerous, dude. All sports are dangerous. All of them are. Literally all of them. Even running, you could have a heart attack while you're running because you pushed yourself too far. Hockey is outrageously dangerous, dude. That fucking puck is getting fired at like 150 miles an hour. They have razor blades on their feet, and you have a weapon in your hand that you could haul off on anybody at any time. Boxing is outrageously dangerous. You know what you're getting into when you sign up for it. Get over yourselves, people. If you think it's too dangerous or too scary, then don't fucking watch it. Don't watch it. Football's not going anywhere.
Leave it up to the people who know what they're getting themselves into, do the things that they want to do, and let people live their fucking lives.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because human empathy rarely extends past the people that we know, our own circles, right? Like, yeah, you feel bad when something happens to somebody in your circle or your family, your friends or whatever, or even at least one level extended, but like your friend's friend that you might just know who they are but never actually hung out with them or whatnot. And you hear, you're like, oh my God, that's terrible. You have the empathy towards them. People die. What did Cam say? People die every day, B.
He said people get shot every day.
Oh, yeah, people get shot every day, B. So... I mean, shit like that happens. Horrible things happen everywhere all the time. People are literally dying left and right. Car wrecks, domestic violence, shootings, drug overdoses. Fentanyl's killing like everybody. Nobody cares until it actually touches their circle, right? This is different because everybody got to see it happen. So people's overarching reaction is just like, oh my God, because you saw it happen.
Right.
Nobody was bitching about like stopping football whenever a few years ago when the one player died in training camp, because when people die in football, it's usually in training camp. They get overheated and they die. Which is why there's all these rules about you're only allowed to practice so many hours a day, and now if you feel like you need water, your coaches can't tell you can't have water. Dude, when I played, I'm dying out here, I need water. You don't get water during a game. Shut up. It was like that. Like soldiers, military ran operations. So in my college, our practice field was literally across the street from Fairmont General Hospital. Dude, they used to push us to the brink of death, essentially. And if you passed out from heat stroke or whatnot, they throw you on the golf cart and take you right to the hospital across the street. You know, it happens. It happens. So, yeah, Adam Smith, who knows what the actual book of heroin, what knowledge it would have and did contain, because the world's never going to hear it anyway, so whatever. Whatever.
Wait, what about the book of heroin?
Adam Smith says this is all the stuff I wanted to hear about in the book of heroin. And it's just like, oh yeah, well, it doesn't matter what was in it because no one's ever going to hear it anyway. What kind of hoodie is that?
I don't remember what we were even talking about. This brand, this problem child.
No, I just like that statement. Die with memories and not dreams. I like that shit. No regrets. Only regrets for things that you did and didn't turn out right. I didn't ever want to regret not doing something. Oh, what would have happened if I would have done this? Or if I would have done this? Which is why I'm on such a push in the last couple months of last year and then this year of actually putting out music. Like, I didn't want to just, like, walk away from music or retire or die or whatever and have music on a hard drive that all I had to do was put it out. Like, why not? Especially in this era when all you have to do is get a DistroKid account and just put it out.
Now you're giving me ideas.
Well, no, there's no reason to sit on it. Like, you know, you were around Mobb Deep for a pretty long time, dude. You have been in the studio, and I'm sure I played you records where you look and be like, oh, yeah, why isn't this out? Well, all right, let's figure out why this particular song never got released. Who knows? Legal issues, sample clearance issues, social issues with somebody who might have made the beat or wrote it. Who knows? One reason or another, records don't come out, especially with Having P. You know it, I know it. Anybody who's been around these two in the studio know it. There's like a treasure trove of bangers just kind of sitting on hard drives. So that was like a lesson learned from being around that scenario and being around P and going through all this, and then hearing, you know, I'd play a song and be like, yo, why wasn't this one put out? And then he'd explain to me why or something. It'd always be something that actually could have been worked out or solved in some manner, unless the beat was given to somebody else and they actually bought it and used it before, you know, like P would have reached out to him and been like, that happened with Alchemist all the time. He'd be like, yo, I'm going to use this beat. Now it'd be like, well, somebody else already bought it and is using it. And then P was so adaptable, he'd just like find another beat and then just rhyme to that one instead. But shit like that would happen. And I just didn't want that to happen when all I had to do was just like put it out. Now, if the world doesn't respond to it and whatnot, then that's whatever. That's the world. But I'll never be able to blame myself and be like, well, all I had to do was put it out. And then, you know, who knows what would have happened. Well, no. I'm not.
As long as it's right, as long as it was right and it was done and ready to go, it's something that you wanted to present to the world. It's like there could be some shit that you're not even feeling, but somebody else would be like, yo, what's that?
Well, that shit used to happen all the time with P. You know, it's like... So, when we put out the Book of Revelation, I guarantee you on every single song on that album, I can find somebody who says that's their favorite song. But it's just like, all right, for some reason or another, some of the lyrics might have spoke to them, the beat, the combination of the two, whatever it is, every song is going to be a favorite from somebody. And there's going to be records on the album that the people who made it don't even like. It's just when other people hear it in the lab or whatever, and everybody reacts in the same way, like, yo, this shit is fire. And you're just like, really? What the fuck, man? I don't get it. But everyone's responding this way, so yeah, we have to put this out. You know, it's just like...
People could be yes men too, though. You gotta actually know who to actually, like, acknowledge the response to, like...
Well, of course. Of course, you never really want yes men who are just going to tell you everything you do is awesome. So I actually...
I remember when we was at 104 and 212, and no, it was 2011, and P was playing the gangster love shit, and I'm just like, nah. And me, that's me, and that's me. And I still was able to be like, nah, like.
Well, I mean, if you look on the Book of Revelation as an example, Broken Rappers, I don't like that song. I never did. When we recorded it, I was just like, it's all right, whatever. The other songs on this album are way better than this one. I have a ton of people who tell me, yo, that's my favorite song on that album by far. And I'm just like, and that's, P looked at me and said, well, it's not about you. Are you going to buy 1 million copies of this record? And I was just like, no, are you? And he was just like, no. I was like, lesson learned. Because it's not even about the artist. Like, it's about your audience and their response. So I actually just read a story from an old Chris Lighty story about Quiet Storm. So Quiet Storm is in its form right now is how that song was intended to be. It was only P.
Yeah.
Chris Lighty made Havoc do a verse on Quiet Storm.
He may have it put a chorus on it just so
No, there's a version where Hav does a verse on it. That was actually put out first, and it got rejected by radio and like the label, and everybody was just like, "Nah, what are you doing? This isn't any good." And they actually went back and went back.
No, that was Keep It Thorough.
Oh, Keep It Thorough. I knew it was one of those. I literally just read it yesterday, so. But yeah, so.
Nah, but it's the same shit. So basically, it had no chorus, which is why that song went on to be such a big deal. It's like,
no. See, he literally. No, he literally. No, dude.
Chris Lighty was like, yo, put a chorus on it.
No, they compromised on the chorus. Hav actually did a fucking verse on it. Because Chris Lighty said, I wanted to keep the synergy of having Hav and P on this record. And it was a Mobb Deep record, not Keep It Thorough, because Keep It Thorough is a P record. It was a Mobb Deep record, dude. So, and it just didn't work out. They played it like, because you know how these major labels are. They're all going to sit around a big wooden table and listen to the shit and all give their opinions and whatnot, and that's how the album actually gets formed. I'm going to have to look it up, but it was not Keep It Thorough.
I'll tell you right now, because Quiet Storm was originally leaked on a Clue tape in 1998 or some shit, like very early, right? And it was getting spin, it was getting burned in the club, like it just became, that was like the prime example of like here you are, if this is really what you want, then you're gonna show me that, and that's exactly what happened with that shit. And that when it still was on the album, and it was still the same, and they did the remix and all that. So I don't know, because that wasn't even, that was leaked. One of the, I guess I don't know, the engineer, somebody was leaking all these songs to Clue. That's how he got a bunch of shit. Like,
well, I mean, he wasn't leaking it to him. Let's talk. Clue was paying that guy to give him records.
Yeah, no, he was paying for this, but I forget. But you probably know who I'm talking about, but I forget his name. But yeah, that's supposedly how that came out, and I think they were like, "Yo, let's add Havoc to make it the Mob, so we can put it on the Mobb Deep album." I don't know if these are two stories.
I mean, I can imagine that it happened more than once. I mean, especially given the fact that if you go through the totality of records, dude, we did this once on Mobb Deep Monday. It's over 1,000 songs, dude.
A lot of music.
Like, if you count all the singles, all the guest appearances, all the album records, it's over 1,000 songs. It's just like, it's probably happened more than once. But anyway, that's the music industry for you, baby. The artist gives you this piece of art, and then somebody who doesn't make art is just like, well, no, I have an idea what we should do. I mean, sometimes I guess it works out, and sometimes it doesn't, but there's a whole industry full of people who do that. Well, no, listen to my idea because I'm so awesome and special, and that's just the way it works. Like,
well, look at Tupac's posthumous albums. It's like half of the shit is regular, how it was supposed to sound, or maybe even improved from what it was, but some of it is just like, yo, what are you doing?
Well, see, they got
shit.
Yeah,
Like,
Rigo, what up, man? So they got greedy with Pac's estate because there was so much unreleased material. They're like, oh man, we could put out like 10 fucking, and they did. Like, they did put out like 10 of them. It's just like, well, some people are, I'm going to go do this one song, and then some people go into the lab and they make 10 songs. There's a difference between volume recorders and then people like Jay-Z is only making one song. He's going to do that one record. Pac was the exact, those two were exactly the same in that manner. You might get 10 records in a day. And then the public may never hear any of them. Because, we're just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what's dope. And P always said every song that you make is a lottery ticket. You're just hoping that it hits. Because it's not about you. I mean, Shook Ones is the perfect example of that because Hav made the beat and said this shit is trash, put it in the trash on his MPC and forgot to wipe the fucking, empty the trash. And when he left, somebody went back and brought it back out and just like, this shit is crazy. P wrote to it. They play it for Hav. He's just like, oh, this shit is dope as fuck. And then we have the most noteworthy rap song in history.
Right. It's crazy.
And think of how close it was to that shit never coming out.
One man's trash is the next man's gold.
So it makes you think, like, how many times has that happened?
Right.
How many other times have, like, what could have possibly been one of the most historic songs ever just been thrown away because the person who was making it didn't like it?
Yeah.
And Havoc is that way. It's very rare that he's going to make a beat and be like, yo, this shit is fucking fire. He's always with that, nah, it could be better. Alchemist is the same way. I'm actually the same way. I'm always just like, nah, it could be better. It could be better. Something could be better. So I just think about that. Just think about all the dope artists who have ever existed. Michael Jackson, Missy Elliott, fucking The Temptations, the Rolling Stones, Nirvana, like all these fucking artists throughout history. Sade, you name it. And think about how many times that, like, something that the world needed to hear never made it out for one reason or the other. It's fucking wild to think about.
It is, man. I got all these unreleased Michael Jackson songs. Pain, bro. And it's like, yo, what happened? Like,
yo, so when I was working at Quad, in the tape room, because at that time period it was still data, like 2-inch reels, DAT tapes, CDs, and DVDs. And one day, Ricky, the dude who ran the equipment room and the tape room, was just like, yo, I need you, and you come in here to the tape room with me. Everything that's older than 5 years, destroy it. And we're like, wait a minute, what? He's just like, destroy it. Cut the tapes, break the CDs and DVDs. If these clients haven't come back in the last 5 years to pick up their data, they're not going to. And we're running out of space. Dude, the things that we were destroying was like sacrilege. We're in there like, there was a Metallica fucking 2-inch reel that we had to destroy. Jay-Z shits.
That's when you get the fuck up out of there with that, bro.
Nah, he was watching. Nah, he was watching, so we couldn't. So, just by there was a DAT tape of unreleased Pharrell beats from the Neptunes. Like, this is like before anyone knew who he was.
What year was this?
Dude, this was like 2000. This is like 03 or 04. This is like early. So it's almost 20 years ago. So we're sitting there like cutting up all these things and breaking these DVDs and shit. And I open this 2-inch reel and it's a Sade song. And I'm just like, I can't do it. I can't do this. Like, I can't fucking do this to this 2-inch reel. So there was a blank 2-inch reel, and 2-inch reels, those tapes are like $100. They're not cheap.
Yeah.
So I was just like, yo, Ricky, this blank tape over here, because they, this was right when Pro Tools was taking off. Everybody was on the Pro Tools wave. Nobody was doing tape anymore. So I was just like, yo, can I get this blank tape? He was just like, yeah, whatever. When he wasn't paying attention, I switched the tapes. and put the Sade reel, took the stickers off and put it in the blank thing. So I actually had that session forever. And fortunately, I converted it into a Pro Tools session at the Art Institute through their SSL and their tape machine and shit. So I still had the data, but that tape got lost in a storage room somewhere, and it's an incident that happened. It got flooded or something and destroyed. But here's a weird thing. I'm flying from New York to Pittsburgh, and the lady who's sitting in the middle, I'm in the window, and the lady who's sitting to my left, I don't know why we started to talk to each other or whatnot, but it turns out that she was like best friends with the bass player in Sade's band. And I was just like, wait a minute. You need to take my number. I have this 2-inch reel. You guys should have this. It's yours. And I told her the story of how they were going to break it, like destroy it and everything. And I was
what was the song? You know what the song was?
Yeah, King of Sorrow.
Okay, so it wasn't unreleased.
No, it wasn't unreleased. This was just like the data from a session.
The session.
I'm guessing that Michael Brower or somebody else had mixed that record or whatever. But I actually tried to when I still had it, get the 2-inch reel back into their hands because I had met a friend of the actual bass player. And I was just like, oh, wait, you guys, here, take my number. And I actually hit them up and whatnot, and they just never responded. Who knows where the fuck that tape actually ended up. But wild, yo, I couldn't believe that shit. We're sitting there just destroying like history.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I felt like the Nazis when they were burning books. It's just like, you really want us to destroy this shit? Like, but at the same time, I see his point. It's just like, yo, these fuckers didn't come get this for the last 5 years, and at that time you had to pay like storage fees for the tapes and shit because they have to be like at a certain temperature and moisture level and all that stuff, and if it's been there for more than a year, then you have to bake it in an oven so that it doesn't flake apart and shit. And like they would do that on site. So there's like, you had to pay to keep your tapes there and shit.
You have to. It's the same thing as like growing up. I got this little mini DVR camera and shit. And I would film everything. It was like a digital new age camcorder and shit. Anyone was familiar with the mini DV player.
Yes.
So. I film everything and I have everything on the computer. It's just like sessions. It's just like recording songs. It's just like all this shit. Like you gotta make space. You can't just have shit taken up. So you gotta put it away. You gotta put it on a drive. That's like the first step. The second step is where you store all your drives. You're probably like, it might not even be in your crib. Like, so it's just another level of that. Like shit happens and it's too much to keep track of and shit just gets lost in the sauce. But it's like, damn, son, music, like that shit is crazy.
All right, so there's this story. I forget what movie it is. I'm too high. It's an incredible movie, but anyway, there was a bunch of extra scenes like that they didn't use and shit. And what ended up happening is the movie company rented a storage space in a salt mine somewhere in Europe. And they stored all the tapes there, thinking with the mindset that the salt's going to take all the moisture out of the air. It's a dry area. Well, it ended up fucking destroying the tapes being stored in salt. Imagine that. So, like the unreleased footage and the director's cut of that movie will never be seen, but it did actually exist. But no one's ever going to get to see it because of that dumb shit.
Didn't some other shit like that happen? Didn't Bob Marley's families where their land, their crib, didn't that shit all get burnt down or some shit?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I had
Eastman got flooded. He lost a bunch of shit, like Wu-Tang shit. RZA's shit just got flooded out and destroyed. Like,
yeah, sometimes studios get flooded and data gets lost, man. So I used to have a original pressing of Thriller that wasn't even, it was still in its original plastic. I don't even think it was ever opened. And just by happenstance, I had gotten some lady who had passed away. She had a very small record collection, but they were all like that. They were all like the greatest albums of all time and all original pressings. It was like a real collection, and they gave it to me, and I actually had it at the studio, but the fucking studio burnt down, and not only did my record collection get torched, but I don't know how many thousands of records have had in the basement. Dude, there were so many fucking records downstairs in the lab.
Yeah, I had never been to the basement. That was crazy. I just remember that.
Thousands of records.
That's OD.
Like there's
maybe the basement was okay though. No.
Well, so here's a funny story with our last 8 minutes of the Dour Hour, and I think I've actually had deja vu about this moment that I'm about to tell this story. So the studio was in Ozone Park, Queens, which was John Gotti's old neighborhood. And John Gotti happened to actually own the building that the studio's in. So, you know how there was the 3 stories of the main building, and then there was that 1-story attached structure attached to the studio, and that's the crackhead lived over there. The old crackhead that had the pit bull, the little tiny pit bull puppy. He was cool with shit. He just, he smoked crack. That's where the air conditioner was on top of his like little 1-story thing. So anyway, when you go down into the basement, it goes down the steps and then just right. You can't go left. Well, they didn't know you could go left. Underneath of that thing was a hidden level, and there was a little tiny door, like a half door that was hidden. And supposedly the story goes that they opened the door and they went in that room, and there was nothing in that room except 4 industrial-sized sinks and then a giant drain in the middle of the floor. And I was just like, they were definitely cutting bodies up in this building. Are you fucking kidding me? And then you wonder why that studio in that building was so haunted. Like, the paranormal activity in that studio, it was off the charts.
Right.
And everybody knew that shit. Well, that's why, dude. The Gottis owned that building. They were definitely cutting bodies up in that secret room, dude. There's nothing but sinks and a drain in there. So that was 100% happening. And then whenever they built the apartment over there after they had renovated everything, and like they went to go put carpet on that side, and when they ripped the old carpeting up that had been the mat or whatever that was there, in the concrete was a giant square that had been cut out of the concrete and then refilled. I was just like, oh, there's definitely bones in there. There's definitely body parts in that square. Like, are you kidding me? I was just like, in order for this studio to not be haunted anymore, somebody's going to have to go take those bones out of that fucking, that slab of concrete that's in the floor.
It's crazy.
I mean, did you not have any paranormal experiences at Infamous?
I can't say whether I have or not. I don't think so, but...
See, either that or you were just too dour to ever actually notice what was going on.
It's possible.
You were also usually there during the day, so... A lot of paranormal activity. It's like too many... I've told stories before, but like so many. Before this Dour Hour ends, I will tell you one. So I cleaned out the closet, like the gear closet in the back right corner of the lab, and dude, when I got there was like a pile of wires. Like, anyway, takes me forever to clean out the closet, completely organize it. I know where everything's at, and it stays this way forever. And then I forget what happened, but I went in there to go do something or to get something, and I found a Polaroid picture that I had never seen before. I was just like, what the fuck? It was an old white lady. I'm talking like really old. And I was just like, first of all, I'm usually like the only white person in here unless you're there. So who the fuck is this lady? So Fly told me this story about how it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, which is the witching hour. And he's sitting at the console listening to some music. And you know how if you're facing the console, the hallway had the window because you could shut that and turn it into a vocal booth in the hallway. And then on the left side of the console was a mirror, the same size as the window, so it looked symmetrical and whatnot, right? And he said he's sitting there he looks in the mirror and he sees somebody like in the fucking mirror. And he's just like, what the fuck? And he's like, that means that they're... So he turns and looks, there's nobody there. Yo, when I showed him that picture, he was just like, that was the lady I saw in the mirror. True fucking story. What? First of all, who is that lady? And what? Like, what?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, he used to call me when I was like dating Chanel, and I was always in Jersey on the weekends. He would call me at like 2 a.m. and be like, yo, you in the lab? I'd be like, no, I'm in Jersey. And he'd be like, all right. And then eventually, like forever later, he told me, he was just like, yo, the reason that I would call you is because I'd be downstairs and I'd hear footsteps in the lab and whatnot. And he'd be like, I thought he wasn't even here right now. So he'd call me to see where I was actually at. And he'd be like, oh, shit. I guess it's that old white lady up there. Yo, I'm telling you, I never really bugged out except the time me and Pete saw that shadow person and then we, you know, the money demon, but I've already told that story. But the only other time I really bugged out in the studio is whenever I showed him that picture and he said, yo, you know that story I told you about that lady in the mirror? That's the fucking lady I saw. I was just like, oh, whoa. I mean, now I actually do want to know who that lady was. That was creepy, dude. That was real fucking creepy. That's like a weird connection that was years. Like literal years from when he told me that story to like being like, who is this lady in this picture? And he's like, that was the fucking lady. Are you kidding me? Like, where did that come from? I was like, it was in the fucking closet, dude. Yeah, so explain that one to me. Where did that fucking Polaroid come from? How did that even happen? And then who was that lady? And why was she haunting the studio? And I guess the real question that we need to ask is the real estate office that is now in place of the studio, is she haunting that building? Because it's still the same building. It's a real estate office now or something. I wonder if the employees are ever in there like in paranormal shit's going on and they're just freaking the fuck out. That would be hysterical.
That's all very deep.
Yeah, it happened, man. The lady in the mirror. It's something you don't really forget because I was just like, whoa. I'd heard that story so many times, and now to have a face to the actual, like, oh, that's the lady I saw in the mirror, and then when I turned and looked in the hallway, she wasn't there. Of course she wasn't. Should have known better to just keep looking in the mirror and have the conversation with her. Because when you turn to look, they're never going to be there. You talk to them while you see them.
Right. You gotta, yeah.
Dude, I used to, like, all the time when somebody would tell me that something happened or, like, they had a little paranormal activity in the lab or whatnot, I used to just roll up, sit on the couch, and just be like, listen, I am not a threat. If you need some help to escape this physical realm that you're still attached to for some reason, let me know and I'll help you out. So, you know, they never really bothered me, but that lady that finding that picture did. That shit was wild.
Nah, I would have been tripping out.
All right, homie. So Zoom is about to kill this Dour Hour. It is 4:17. Why not? So I'll see you tomorrow. Because I think it's raining again tomorrow, so you ain't going to have nothing better to do.
Sounds good. Let's get it.
Dour people. All right. So loads of paranormal activity at Infamous Studios. It happened literally all the fucking time. Not that it was fun or enjoyable, but it was just part of being there. I need to, like, when I run into people who spend a lot of time at that place, ask them about their paranormal experiences, if they've ever had any, and to what extent, and how fucking crazy was it? Because that lady in the mirror and then finding a Polaroid picture of her that I can guarantee you was not in the place that it was up until the moment that I found it, which was really fucking weird. That shit was trippy. But what you gonna do? I was there to make rap music. And paranoid activity or paranormal activity or not, we're making rap music. So I will see you guys. Let's see, it's Tuesday. Am I going to do anything tonight? No, not going to do anything tonight that I know of. So, yeah, I'll see you guys for morning meditation tomorrow. And if not, then for the Dour Hour at 3:30.